Okay, so today I'm going to be going over random map packs. These are fairly common in AOC, that you have a collection of random maps that you want the game to select one which you will play. So for this example, I'm going to be making a pack with 5 maps, which will be these 5 right here. So for reference, aggression looks like this. Amazonia looks like this. Ambush looks like this. Aquapolis looks like this. And Arctic Circle looks like this. Okay, so let's take a look at some code. Alright, so the very simple ways you create random maps takes 2 primary parts. So the first is a random structure, which defines the % chance of each map being selected. So for this case, using 5 maps, 100% divided by 5 is 20% each. So once these constants are defined, they are then used in this if structure, which defines what's going to happen with each case. And what is going to happen is simply you take the code of the map you want, copy it, and paste it in. Go to the next map, do the same thing, and just keep on going. So if we go back to the game and we run our test script, we can see that different maps are being selected with each generation. So what I showed you here, this is this is basically the bare bones minimum of creating random map packs. This method is like the quick and dirty method, which is what I prefer, because it's quite easily accessible. What I mean by that is, if you want to look at the code for aggression, it's all in the same place. If you want to look at the code for the next map, it's all in the same place too. The other way to do this is by reducing redundancy. So let's say, for example, player setup. This is going to be the same for all 5 of the maps. So if we wanted to reduce redundancy, we could take this outside of the if structure, put it in, and then delete the player setup for every subsequent map inside the if structure. So we call this out 1 time instead of 5 separate times. And you would do that for every other redundant thing in the map. So for example, in the objects generation section, every map is going to be starting with a town center, every map is going to be starting with villagers and a scout. So that type of thing. The quick way works best for maps that tend to be small in file size, which is what I like, since my maps generally tend to be small. But the benefit of reducing redundancy is a lower file size for the map pack as a whole. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about here was the use of RMS syntax support for Notepad++. So this is something that was pointed out to me in one of my earlier videos, that there is this nice language for Notepad++ that highlights syntax specifically with respect to RM scripting. So if we copy our map and put it in Notepad++, this is what Notepad++ looks like on its own. And then when you follow the instructions, define your language, this is what it looks like with the syntax highlighter enabled. And so this provides some extra benefits. For example, you can collapse random structures and if structures to make your stuff more easily accessible and cleaner. And this syntax highlighter also knows every specific command that all the specific commands and attributes that RMS has. So if you have a typo or something, it'll highlight that as well. Alright, so that's all well and good, but it's important to know that when you're working with map packs, that the more maps you have in the pack, the likelihood that your script will run flawlessly the first time through is not very good. So a large part of working with random map packs is debugging, and I'm going to talk about my debugging process here. So what we're looking at now is MadRandom. It is a collection of 125 maps, and I guess the first thing to notice when you're looking at large map packs is the introduction of subpacks. See, when you're working with maps more than 100, the percent chance for each map is going to be less than 1, but as far as the code goes, you can't enter a value less than 1. So this is where subpacks come in handy. So each subpack has a specific chance of being defined, and then within that subpack, your individual maps have a separate percent chance of being defined. So in this case, 20% times 4% is 0.8, and then 0.8 times 125 equals 100. And then subpacks also help in the debugging process, which I'll show. So in the game, I'm testing my map here, and something to notice is that some of these maps are being generated as blanks and not actual maps, and that's a problem. So there's a bug, and we need to fix that. So for debugging, what I like to do is test each subpack separately. So I change the percentage of pack 1 to 100 and everything else to 0, and start generating now. And by testing pack 1, it looks like this is working fine. Everything is being generated as a map and not as a blank. So now let's try pack 2. This seems to be working fine also. Let's go to pack 3. We keep generating our maps, and still we're not seeing any issues. Alright, now for pack 4. Alright, so here we start to see blanks. So, now that we've identified the subpack where the issue is happening, we have a much better understanding of where to start looking for abnormalities in the code. So here's pack 4, and as far as abnormalities go, sometimes they're going to be obvious, sometimes they're going to be less obvious. If you wanted to get a more fine-tuned location of where the bug is happening, you could test every map in the subpack separately, like change the percentage of this to 100, everything else to 0, and then change them all systematically until you find the problem. But for the purposes of this video, I found the bug beforehand, so I'm just going to show you where that is. It's in Pond Arena. In the objects generation section, I have this special case for deathmatch, where it creates fortified walls instead of regular walls, and I forgot to end this if. So once that's all taken care of, start generating maps in the pack, and pack 4 looks like it's working properly. And then going back to the overall map pack, I can change these back to what they normally were. And we can see that the map appears to be generating fine without any blanks. So that's basically my debugging process. I do hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.